Yeah, like 3 weeks, I think. Evidently, somebody made a comment. Who was telling me about that comment? About the babies. What'd they say? Put the babies in a nursery. Go to a real church. We're a family.
How are they going to learn?
I'm so sorry, whoever said that. You were so disturbed by our babies. Not. See? Now, what did I tell you guys earlier? See? I'm trying to be just like whoosh with this whoosha with this thing, but the stress like comes back and I at YouTube. Whatever, that's our babies. I'm not taking any garbage from somebody. You don't like our babies? Check it. All right, we're going to start. We're going to Joshua, but we're going to start in Exodus. We have a little pre-reading to do in Exodus chapter 23. Exodus chapter 23, verse 20. And we're doing this because it's going to apply later. Exodus 23, verse 20. Behold, I send an angel, a messenger before thee, to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared, which is the promised land, right? Mm-hmm. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. I circled this. But if, whenever you see an if, and Yah's speaking, you should circle it. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then, I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries. Mm-hmm. Now, how could a loving God be an adversary to some people and an enemy to other people? That's what people say tomorrow in church. For mine angel shall go before thee, and bring thee in unto the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. I worked with the guy Doug, and he used to say, if you're going to be an ite, you want to be an Israelite. This is why. All those people, they're all in the promised land. He's going to cut them off. Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works. But thou shalt utterly overthrow them, and quite break down their images, their idols. And ye shall serve Yahweh your Elohim, and he shall bless thy bread and thy water. That was a little intro. Now just flip forward to Joshua chapter 9. You will remember, what was the name of the city that they overthrew? Ai. I don't know how you pronounce it. Ai. And remember, they tried once before and they lost, right? They thought it was going to be an easy fight, and they went and they got it handed back to them. And so then they went and they brought everybody, and they did well. But that's because they weren't trusting in the Father, they weren't obeying the Father. And so that happened. And so they took Ai, and they killed the people in Ai, and all of that. And then Joshua built an altar unto Yah, and that brings us kind of to now, chapter 9, verse 1. And it came to pass when all the kings which were on this side of the Jordan, which is that side of the Jordan, the side of the Jordan that they crossed over to, and they just took Ai. So there's all these other kings that are out there. And again, these kings aren't like what a lot of people think about a king, like the king of vast realms who sits in a throne. It's more like, I know you're going to have a pastor say he watched this show, Game of Thrones, where there are like little kingdoms and little warlords that are in charge of things, but there's a lot of them out there. And so these kings hear what's going on, and they said, it came to pass when all the kings which were on this side of the Jordan, in the hills and in the valleys, and in all the coast of the great sea over against Lebanon, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, the Jebusite, all those ites we just read about in Exodus, when they heard about this, when they heard about the fall of Ai and Jericho and that they gathered themselves together to fight Joshua with Israel with one accord. Because again, these kings are like these little kings, these little fiefdoms. And they're like, oh, they're kicking hiney. these Israelite guys that came across the river. Let's all get together to fight them. And it's a decent plan. And, they all had their own little struggles that they had with each other where they competed, especially where they come up against each other. But they said, for this exterior foe, the Israelites, let's get our stuff together and fight them. And when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done unto Jericho and unto Ai, oh, I missed a point. So they're all coming together. We said that, but who are they coming together against?
Joshua. Israel.
Israel, led by Joshua, but it's Yah's chosen. Mm-hmm. See, we kind of know that, but it's an important point. There might be some people out there on YouTube that don't really put the two together. They're coming together, they think, well, they are trying to, against Yah's chosen people. And when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done unto Jericho and unto Ai, they did work wily, like wily coyote, sneakily. And they went and they made as if they had been ambassadors. And they took old sacks upon their asses and wine bottles, old and it says rent, ripped, and bound up, patched. Old shoes and patched up upon their feet, and old garments upon them. And all their bread and provisions were dry and moldy. Have you ever heard in end times, if you're doing really well, this is an internet theme, you're doing really well and everybody else out there is starving, make sure you look like you're hungry. I've actually seen people write, you should buy clothes that are 2 sizes too big so you'll look skinny like everybody else. Have you heard that?
Like you've lost a little weight.
Like you've lost a little weight. Well, it's deception, right? That's what you're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do. These guys, they live in the promised land that the Israelites are fixing to come to. They didn't join with everybody else to fight the Israelites because they're like, yeah, I hear that plan, but I'm not buying it. We're going to see why they're not buying it, that they're going to be able to win against Yah's people. And so they're like, let's do this a different way. First of all, let's act like we've traveled from a very long distance away for a very long time, and we're road weary, and we've been traveling so long we have to patch our clothes and our wine skins, because they were just made out of goat skins and stuff. They're getting old and cracking. It'll look like, we didn't come from just over there. We came from far away. We're not of these people. So that's their plan. I said earlier I was going to talk about people coming here. There's nothing new under the sun, right? The Israelites are going into the promised land. They're conquering and they're taking it over, as we can see. And here these people are showing up. They're disguised. They're not who, as we're going to find out, they're not who they purport to be. They are not the people they say they are. And they have purposely changed the way they look to appear as something else. Does that ever happen today? Mm-hmm. That happens today. We got to be wise, right? We have to pay attention to things. Israel has been commanded to destroy all these people. That's what we read earlier. Go forth and utterly take them and destroy them. They don't want to get destroyed. That's basically it. And so they're exercising deception. Verse 6. And they went to Joshua unto the camp at Gilgal. They found Joshua. That's where they're camped out right now. And they said unto him and to the men of Israel, we be come from a far country. Now, therefore, make ye a league with us. Does anybody else have another word than league?
Covenant.
Covenant, right. Make it. Let's get together. Let's make a little pact. Let's make a little deal. I've got written all the way down this next couple verses in the margin of my Bible. Lie, 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 lie. These guys are lying their heinies off. So that's their first lie. Well, their first lie is actually the way they've dressed and arrayed their animals to make it look like they've come. They just came. You're going to find out they just came from over there. But they're making it look like they came, all the way up from Nebraska or something on foot. All right, so they're lying. So they said, we came from a far country, make a pact with us. And the men of Israel said unto the Hivites, they're Hivites, these people, well, we think you might dwell among us, and how shall we make a league with you? See, the Israelites, even though they're dressed differently, there's something in the back of their head. They're like, something stinks here. Something's not right. Did you guys have another word than peradventure? peradventure you dwell near us, or something like that. What's that say?
It could be, is what I've got.
Yeah. We think you might be some of these people we're fixing to go heavy on. And why would we make a promise with you? Now I can do this so I can see you both. I don't have to keep taking my glasses on and off. And how shall we make a promise with you? And they said unto Joshua, we are your servants. And Joshua said unto them, who are ye, and from whence come ye? Now they just told him we came from far away and da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, there's something in the back of it. Something's not right to him. His spidey senses are tingling. And they said unto him, because why don't they want to make a league with them if they came from that area?
Because they've got to destroy it.
They've got to destroy them. They're going to cleanse the land. They're going to kick all these people out. And they're going to take over and establish Yah's, people in the promised land. And they said unto him, from a very far country thy servants are come, because of the name of Yahweh thy Elohim. For we have heard the fame of him, and all that he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the 2 kings of the Amorites that were beyond Jordan, and to Sihon the king of Heshbon, and to Og the king of Bashan, which was at Ashtaroth. Wherefore our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spake to us, saying, take victuals with you for the journey, and go and meet them, and say unto them, we are your servants. Excuse me. Therefore now make ye a league with us. And then, so they say they fear Yah. Do they? Trick question. They do.
Yeah.
They actually do.
They're scared.
They have seen what Yah has allowed these Israelites to do. You killed that Og, that big giant king out there. You killed him. You came in here. You did this. You did this. Your God is a pretty powerful God that he's letting you do this. And so they do fear Yahweh, the Elohim. And they did hear these things. It's just so they're lying about where they heard it, right? They're saying we came from far away. They didn't. But they do fear Yah. Is that a good thing or a bad thing to fear Yah?
Yes.
It's a good thing. It's a start, actually, in the right path. So our elders told us to come. Verse 12. This our bread we took hot from our provision of our houses on the day that we came forth unto you. But now, behold, it is dry and moldy. Lie. Right? They didn't take fresh bread 6 weeks ago when they started their journey. They just got old moldy bread and did that. And these bottles of wine which we filled were new. And behold, now they're torn. And these our garments and our shoes have become old by reason of the very long journey. That's a lie. They're also trying to sell the lie a little bit too hard, if you think about it. I mean, dude, I can tell you your clothes are old and ripped, and I can see that your wineskin is in sad condition, and you don't have to show me your bread. It's like when they're trying that hard to convince you of something, it's like your spidey sense should be screaming out of your head. Why are you trying to prove so hard that you came? All I said is, I'm not so sure about you guys. Joshua is not going to pick up on it, though. So let's just keep going and see what's going on here. And the men, now this is the Israelite men, the men took of their victuals and asked not counsel of the mouth of Yah. Man, there should be an asterisk in your Bible right there. So they accepted them. They accepted their lie. They accepted, okay, you guys are from afar, and yeah, we see that. And so they broke bread with them. That's what they did. They're like, okay, the story makes sense. It could happen. There's a lot of people moving around to and fro across the land because of all the chaos that's going on. Hey, yeah, let's accept them. Let's sit down and break bread with them. What's that last part? And they asked not the counsel of the mouth of Yahweh. You're not nearly as smart as Yah is. You're not nearly as smart as the adversary is, quite frankly. We need to be turning to the Father and seeking his face and seeking his counsel. All the more so when we're in perilous, troubled times. We can read that where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am also. We need to grab onto that promise and do that. And we need to seek the Father's face and not think, I'm a former Green Beret man. I got this. I don't need the Father's help for this. Dude, we always need the Father's help. And we need to seek his counsel. And we need to go into contemplative prayer, quiet time with the Father, before we make decisions. Because decisions have consequences. And things can come back to bite us later. We need to seek his face. And they clearly did not do that. They trusted their eyes, what they saw. They trusted their ears, what these people were telling them. And therefore, they trusted the enemy. They trusted the liars because they were, okay, yeah, you got all that proof with you. Look. And so they trusted that. They didn't seek Yah, and that's bad. 15. And so because they didn't seek Yah and they trusted them, Joshua made peace with them. And he made a league with them, a covenant with them, and he let them live. And the princes of the congregation swear unto them. So everybody's like, yep, Joshua says you're good to go. You're good to go. We'll make this league. And it came to pass at the end of 3 days, after they had made the league with them, that they heard that they were their neighbors and that they dwelt there among them. They found out in just 3 days, they're not from a far land. They live like at our next target city that we're going for, right up there. That's where these guys are from. And they know they're supposed to kill all these guys and get them out of the land. And they just made a promise with them. They heard their neighbors. 17, and the children of Israel journeyed, and they came unto their cities on the 3rd day. So it was only a 3-day walk away from the army. And now their cities were Gibeon and Shofar and Beeroth and Kirjath Jearim. And the children of Israel smote them not. Now see, this is their cities. They come upon their cities, and they don't attack the cities. They smote them not, because the princes of the congregation had sworn unto them by Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. And all the congregation murmured against the princes. Like, hey, wait a minute. I know you guys made this pact with them, and okay, you made the pact in the name of Yahweh. Put your hand on the Bible. Do you swear everything you say will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but truth, so help you God? Yes, I do. Okay, you just swore by God. You can't lie. Well, that's kind of the same thing. They swore by Yah that they would have this pact with these guys, that they would treat them okay. But now they find out, they're not who they said they were. And so the people murmur. Do the people ever murmur against the leadership?
Oh, every once in a while.
They do. The people murmur against the leadership. I could have done better. We should do this. We should. You will note when we read earlier, it was Joshua made the pact, but it said all the princes agreed. All his principal officers also agreed with him. Yeah, we're going to do this thing. But the common man is like, come on, they live here. We're supposed to be taking these guys, give them the ban or whatever. They all murmured against their leaders. It's a human condition. Remember when they murmured against Moshe? Mm-hmm. Why did you bring us out here to die of hunger in the wilderness? Why did you bring us out here to die of thirst in the wilderness? Same thing. They're doing it to Joshua. For leaders, it's a part of leadership. Mm-hmm. It's not a popularity contest. And not everybody's going to be happy. And sometimes leaders have to do the hard things that isn't necessarily the popular thing. And the people are feeling pretty good. They're taking cities. And they're like, yeah, we get another city. Maybe we get to keep more stuff from this one. Let's go. And no, as we'll see. All right, so that's just 3 days later. And the children of Israel, okay, we did that. 18. And the children of Israel smote them not. They didn't attack them, because the princes of the congregation had sworn unto them by Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. And all the congregation murmured against the princes. But all the princes said unto all the congregation, we have sworn unto them by Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. Now, therefore, we may not touch them. Look, guys, I know we were supposed to do this thing, but they messed up. The leaders messed up. They didn't consult the Father before they made this pact with them. Mm-hmm. But then they made a pact with them in the name of Yah. That, you'll be my friend, we'll be your friend, or whatever they said, in the name of Yah. You can't do another sin on top of that and go back on that. You'll just compound the problems. And so they're trying to explain it to the people. Hey guys, we made a promise in the name of Yahweh Elohim of Israel. We can't go back on that. But the people aren't happy. But they have a plan. 20. This we will do to them. We will even let them live, lest wrath be upon us, because of the oath that we swear unto them. And the princess said to them, let them live, but let them be hewers of wood and drawers of water unto all the congregation, as the princes had promised them. Okay, we'll let them live as our slaves. They're going to work a lot in the sanctuary, in the temple, in the tabernacle. They're going to be our slaves. We're going to let them live. We're not going to kill them. We promised we wouldn't kill them, but they're doing the scut work. They're going to go draw the water. They're going to go cut the wood. Can you imagine cutting wood before they had like steel axes, let alone forget a chainsaw? I mean, yeah, we need a big pile of wood. Go get it. Okay. Thank you, boss. And Joshua called for them. So I think it's kind of funny. They chose to make this deal with Israel. And it's like, yeah, we're not going to kill you, but you're not going to be living fat, dumb, and happy anymore either. So get to work. And Joshua called for them, and he spake unto them, saying, so he's calling the leadership of these people, spake unto them, saying, wherefore have ye beguiled us, saying, we are very far from you, when you dwell among us? Now therefore you are cursed. He curses them. And there shall none of you be freed from being bondmen and hewers of wood and drawers of water for the house of my Elohim. It's like, guys, you guys are slaves. You're not going to go free. It's a life sentence of slavery serving Israel. It's basically what it is. And they answered Joshua, and they said, because it was certainly told thy servants how that Yahweh the Elohim commanded his servant Moshe to give you all the land and to destroy all the inhabitants of the land from before you. Therefore, we were sore afraid of our lives because of you and have done this thing. So here's the deal. They realized how powerful Yah was. They saw it with their own eyes. They saw what he was doing, and they took the decision as a people, we would rather live as slaves than be dead. That's the only option. They knew they weren't going to win. And so it's like, well, we'd rather live as slaves. And now, behold, we are in thine hand. As it seemeth good and right unto thee to do unto us, do. You know, if you're going to be a slave, being a slave of an Israelite's not so bad. You have rights as a slave under Torah. You have things that the masters can do and can't do to you under Torah. That wasn't the way of the world back then when this happened. And the way of the world then was, you get defeated in battle. Usually they killed all the males. Like any boy 8 years old, any male 8 years old and up, they kill them. The little children that they're young enough they can assimilate, and the women they keep and make them part of their tribe. But they kill all the men. If they didn't do that, they made them slaves. But it was bad slaves. Horrible slavery, bad things going on. Being a slave of an Israelite, it's not so horrible. And check it. You get 1 day off a week. Even as a slave, you get to lay up fat, dumb, and happy 1 day a week. That's pretty good, 24 hours. And so did he unto them, and he delivered them out of the hand of the children of Israel, that they slew them not. That's an interesting verse. There were still these people who were murmuring. They wanted to kill these guys. It's like, you know what? He's letting them in here. We're going to get them tonight. We're going to do that. No way. You know, God told us to go and kill everybody. You can see how the argument would go with these people. But Joshua makes sure they're okay. And Joshua made them that day hewers of wood and drawers of water for the congregation, for the altar of Yahweh, even unto this day, in the place which he should choose. Meaning in the temple when this was being read to people. These are the Gibeonites, and it's interesting how this goes for them. They're kind of like Rahab. Remember when they send the spies into the land? Rahab is of the enemy, right? We're getting ready to come in here. We're spying out the Jericho. We're coming in here to kill everybody in Jericho, but she treats them well. And so they make a deal with her, and because of her faith, and she says she fears Yahweh too, if you remember that, because of her faith, not only is Rahab saved, but her whole family is saved. And they get incorporated into into Israel. So they leave the old and they cling unto the new. What is the Hebrew way of learning? Doing. So now these Gibeonites are part of Israel, granted as slaves, but they're part of Israel. And so they're starting, are they under Torah? Yep. They're under Torah. And so they're learning as they go. The Gibeonites, they're the servants of the tabernacle. We know that. Gibeon itself, they didn't destroy it. It became one of those Levite cities where they gave the Levites a couple cities. So Gibeon became a Levite city. The Ark of the Covenant was housed in Gibeon several times during the course of that. You can read about that in 1 Chronicles. One of David's mighty men was from Gibeon, was from there. So somehow that guy figured out how not to be a slave. They helped rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And you can read about that in Nehemiah. And the thing here, the kind of learning point here is those who are sinners, those who are outside the will of Yah, if they humble themselves and turn towards Yah, they can be saved. Mm-hmm. And we know we do that through the blood of Yeshua, right? But any sinner, I mean, you guys have probably, I was going to say I've met people, you guys have probably met people who go, oh yeah, but you don't know what I've done, right? You know, there's no redemption for me. You don't know what I've done. I'm telling you, you don't understand what Yeshua did. There's redemption for everything. You just got to get on the straight and narrow, start walking the walk, and all of that is forgiven, and it can be. And so the Gibeonites are a good story for that in the mold of Rahab, like it happened to Rahab. There's always hope for bad people. Also backing up to hit 2 more points. When you swear something in the name of Yah, that's it, man. That's it. You can't go back on that. Joshua and the leadership did the right thing by not going back on that. They did the wrong thing by making a deal with these people before they checked in with the Father and said, should I make this deal or not? But they weren't going to compound that. And then the other point, going back even further, is beware of wolves in sheep's clothing. Things are not always as they appear. And we need to sharpen up a little bit and see people for who they are and seek discernment from the Father. You know, if you ask for wisdom from the Father, He'll give it to you. I actually went through a period where every day for a few weeks I prayed for wisdom. And look at me now. I'm glad you laughed. Oh my God, if you had, that'd be horrible. All right, let's pray.